Even when
Even
we
when
have
have
domains.
domains.
We start,
Because-
in fact, we start
and-
solving those domains with prayer.
With prayer.
God,
Help
what
us.
you are about
You
to
know
find.
what your son has
Look
done.
at these sinners.
God, we are sinners. Help us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tuesday Connect. We are so glad that you could join us again this Tuesday. My name is Kathy Matei, and I will be your host today. And it is such a pleasure to host you today because we have been having conversations around marriage, and we thought to ourselves, why not get a couple who's married and have them have conversations with us about how their marriage has been, to allow them to let us in on their marriage. But before I introduce them, I would just like to say that all these conversations that we have had before are on our YouTube channel. So if you have not yet watched either one of them, please feel free to go there. You'll be able to actually get all of them, and you can watch them there. We will also be having a session on questions during our third episode this season, and we would like to encourage you to send us your questions. If you've watched an episode and you have a question there, please feel free to write down on the comment section what your question is, and we will get it. We will be able to prepare for it, and hopefully we'll be able to help you in that way by answering your question. But today with me are Sammy Thiga, Senior Pastor, Mamlaka Hill Chapel. What a privilege. I feel like there should be drum rolls. Gosh, I haven't done 5 minutes.
It's okay.
Guys, pray for me.
Ever since you got those specs, we've come to.
Drum rolls. Sammy Thiga, Senior Pastor, Mamlaka Hill Chapel, and his lovely wife, Tidley Ithiga, who
Hello.
is such a wonderful person. And we are going to be having that conversation together. So let me just start from here. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. I don't know who would like to start.
About ourselves. Male, female.
That's
Oh.
such helpful information.
Extremely. You have no idea.
Anyway,
So
Sammy Thiga, as
global
you've had.
warming.
We met. We've been friends for 15 years.
Okay.
I can say that.
15.
In those 15 years, married 10. In fact, last month, we celebrated our 10th year anniversary. So that means we kind of like dated for like 5 years or something like that. It is funny how we met each other. So my wife was part of a dance crew, that we now call Undignified. But in those days, it didn't have a name.
Oh, it didn't have a name?
So
Oh.
Imagine, we were just those guys who used to meet outside like a basketball court. Outside, which hall
Yeah.
was that?
all 5.
Yeah.
In
the
your
At the
University
back.
of Nairobi. So I saw them there at one point, and actually a friend of mine invited me to go and watch these dancers. And then as I was watching, the instructor asked the people who were watching, hey, does any of you want to learn how to dance? And so somehow, either I volunteered myself or somebody volunteered me.
Okay.
And guess who was given to be my dance instructor?
Oh.
Well, let's just say
The Lord.
they live happily ever after. Yeah. So that's a little bit
some
about
good
how we
information.
met.
So you've dated 5 years, Twidley.
Can you
How
imagine?
was that?
I wouldn't advocate it for anyone. It was fun. We enjoyed that we were surrounded by many people. But I think it worked for us because like 4 of those years we were students. Then 1 year we joined internship. So
Together?
Yes. So we
So
were
cool,
starting
guys.
life yani like no call from, and no one could boast to the other that you have anything. We literally had nothing to our name. But I think that's a beauty of starting life together. You sort of grow it from nothing and get to rejoice and see what God is doing.
Have we finished saying more about who we are?
Oh.
Like now we have a family and stuff like
Imagine.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a teacher by
Oh.
profession. Woohoo!
that. See, that's that teacher-pastor combination.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the kids are learning on Sunday in church from their dad, and then in
Imagine.
school during the week.
Hey.
Our
No,
kids
it's
are
not-
those
it's not
who,
even
when
that.
they're in school, they're with their mom. When they come to church, they're with their dad. So
Oh.
they really can't misbehave. They don't have an option to.
That's true.
Then, yeah, we have 2 children, Tendo who's 8 and Nia who's 5.
Okay.
And, yeah, we just like enjoying life.
That's a great thing to do. So let me go back to that place where you've been married 5 years. So, no, you've dated 5 years.
Dated 5
You
years,
dated 5 years.
yes.
You've been married 10, but you
Yeah,
dated
if
5
somebody's
years.
married 10 years and then you minimize it to 5.
Imagine.
And the way marriage is such a... What's wrong with you?
We feel like we got a
Forgive me.
double digit. Woohoo!
Forgive me for my folly.
Yeah.
So, in these 5 years that you were dating, you had to have guardrails, right?
Yeah.
So, what kind of guardrails are those that you had?
I think, as I'd mentioned before, we had friends. We had a solid Bible study around us. So we were both in Chiromo. So I think at second year, we both moved to the Chiromo campus at the University of Nairobi. And I don't know who thought of mixing boys and girls in a hostel
Are you
setup.
serious?
I don't know whoever thought of that,
Ooh.
but Chiromo is like that. But the beauty about being in a community is that at any one time, someone would be popping into your room. Hey, do you have water? Hey, do you have a movie? Hey, do you have something?
Yeah.
So that kept us in check. You knew there's no option of misbehaving. So we thank God that we didn't isolate ourselves, because then I think that's when temptation thrives. And,
Right.
yeah.
The reason why that's a powerful point is because when people are dating, normally they isolate themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
Because they love each
because
other.
they love each other, and you know, I mean, a little bit of it is cool because they're trying to get to know each other, so they're giving each
Yeah.
other all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and they're turning their backs against the whole world.
You said it so nicely. Turning their back
Backs,
against
you
the
know.
whole world.
Yeah, it's just you and I, babe. You know,
Against the
Yeah.
against the world, and that's cool. But the more you isolate yourselves, you know, the more you end up niching in many ways. So that was really helpful. Another one was from the very beginning, I think we've just been realistic about who we are as sinners, you know. And so we have always perpetuated or talked about self-distrust. It's
Right.
been kind of like a motto,
Right.
you know, self-distrust. So that has kept us. Part of self-distrust has also been being careful about how we interact with people of the opposite sex. Like, for example, since I'm dating her, I don't now go and do coffees and teas and whatever with other girls, you know?
Unless we're in a group setup.
Unless you're in a group setup, but
So
I
it's not
can't
exclusive.
now continue to develop relationships with other people of the opposite sex, you know?
Right.
I mean, I hear people talking about having, can you be best friends, BFFs, with someone of the opposite sex?
Yeah.
Well, I usually have one answer to that, which is the devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. If you have friends and close friends, like best friends of the opposite sex, I think that then the person you're dating,
Marry them.
you know, so those are some of the things that helped us to keep our relationship going
All right.
during those
All
tests.
right.
Yeah.
Asante. So now you're married. How has those guardrails changed? Or do you have new ones? How does that look like now?
I think, in my opinion, they're just revamped, because you see, in the dating setup, you have an option of breaking up.
Right.
But now in the marriage setup, our ideal is to get to till death. That's what will separate us. And so even on that issue of just self-distrust, not trusting yourself to go out and have coffee with someone and you pour out the way your day has been, your emotions, your feelings, the way
Nani has done.
Imagine. So we leave that, we specialize that to our spouse, to each other, and not expose ourselves to anyone else. So that has really intensified. I wouldn't say that we've let go of that. And then we're still part of a community, we're still part of a society that keeps us accountable, that we've allowed to ask us hard questions. So if we're fighting and the fight has gone for more than 3 days,
You're fighting and he's our pastor.
we fight.
Yeah, let's just skip.
Okay.
You have nothing to say. You've seen the sinner in you about to appear.
So me, I don't fight. No.
Oh.
Who fights me? No.
You don't fight.
I don't fight.
Well,
The two
we
of you
fight. So if sometimes it's gone for more than 3 days, then intervention comes in
Right.
to just ask us hard questions. Are you being stubborn? Are you being proud? Why don't you just let go?
Hey, those ones are
And
hard
yes,
questions.
yes. So the community is still there to keep us in check.
Alright.
And sometimes when you're not in community, it's the smallest of issues that are escalated and look like such magnanimous things. You ask someone, why did you separate? You hear the reason. You're like, would that have been sorted out in a different way?
Yeah.
Perhaps if there was a third party to bring in a different perspective. Yeah.
Alright,
So I think we've still continued with that.
Very helpful.
So yeah, just to add on that, it's just the point that she said. What keeps you before is what keeps you afterwards. So I
Right.
don't think there's much difference. It's just taking it to a whole new level. You know, so we are growing our friendship. You know, we are open and vulnerable to each other. You know, we are keeping the relationship exclusive. You know, yeah. So I think I can say that. You know, just taking whatever the dating things to a whole new level because the stakes are higher. You know, on this side. Yeah.
All right. So the aim of marriage and being together is to try to get to a place of oneness, right? What things have helped you or are helping you to get to that place of oneness? Or are you even getting to that place of oneness in the first place?
Let's just say it's a step at a time.
Yeah.
So one, finances. I know that can be a major.
Where?
It can cause a major rift between us because, especially when you've been brought up very differently, your perspective to towards some of those issues like finances can be very different.
Yeah.
And if both of you decide to just pursue what you think is right, it can cause a rift. So we always sit down and budget and agree. So we look at our money as one pool. So that's one. And then the other one is just trying to build this friendship. So we try, we might not always have money to go out on dates and things like that, but what we have is we always have walks every week. We go out, and sometimes it might not be on the date day that we've assigned. Sometimes someone can be having a very bad day at work, and you just see them from the door, like, we go for the, like, yeah. So that helps to just sort of decompress all that you've been thinking about, all the stress that you've been carrying, the baggage, to know that there's someone I can confide in, someone who understands me, won't judge me, even if it's something wrong I did, but will help me navigate whatever issues. Yeah. So I think those are two ways I would say.
Right.
Unless there are others that.
Yeah, talk. I can say that. We talk a lot. You know, talk. We, for lack of a better word, we katiana. You know, and you know, just try to put that kuni in that motto, just to make sure the fire is
Sam, you've used so many Greek words. You need to just start from the beginning.
No, those that know what I'm saying, if you know, you know.
know.
If you know, you know.
Google Translate doesn't know.
You know, yeah, I was thinking, you know, the way we, especially men, or I think generally human beings, we like are goal-oriented, you know, and we treat things as projects, you know. So when you're in the dating phase, that's like you have a goal, and the goal is to get married.
Yeah.
And once you get married, it's like now you tick that box, you know, goal accomplished, you know, we just malizanad with that part of our lives, and now you move on to other goals, you know, let's say like wealth creation, raising family, raising children, blah, blah. And you forget marriage also needs, or your relationship also needs to be nurtured. You can't tick that box already.
Yeah.
You know, and I used the fire analogy, and I said, it's just like fire in a fireplace. You know, you need to put wood in it from time to time just to keep the fire going.
Yeah.
And the moment you stop adding wood, you know, the fire will keep dying down.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and so, yeah, we think of interesting ways of adding the fire. You know, we are talking, as I said, we are dating. You know, we don't go easy on like our intimacy. You know, we just don't get too casual and too used to each other. We just try to find ways of just, you know, adding aroma, you know, into our relationship. You know, just to flavor. I mean, this is what you should do. You know. Yeah. So that we don't too quickly tick that box. You know, leave it open and we continue to until death do us apart.
Right. Very helpful. So, Twiddly, you've said that you guys fight, which was helpful, and I think I was very encouraged by that, right?
Sheep, you know, sheep is watching.
Yeah, well, we fight. Yeah.
You fight. That's very, it's great to know. It's great to know.
Yeah.
So, how do you handle conflict? I mean, I'm assuming that you don't just fight and then you leave it there, right? How do you handle conflict?
Well, I'd say it's been something that's been improving over time. Of course, when we started out, we used to fight very childishly. The ones of you snatch even the remote. It's even my turn to watch the TV. But those were the first 2 years of marriage before the children came in and matured us up. So at the beginning of our marriage, we got some wisdom on just reconciling first before resolving the issue. And at first, it was very mechanical when you're trying it out, because what reconciling means is like literally putting the issue aside. Look at each other first, apologize for hurting each other. And it's hard. It's hard, especially when you feel like, ni mimi nimekosewa.
Nakwambia pole kwa nini?
Exactly.
What are you apologizing for?
Humility has come with time.
No, but surely, what are you apologizing for?
For you must have had a role to play in that issue.
What if he just came from Sri where
and then gets a pastor
yeah,
here.
whatever,
What wrong
man.
could he have done?
So
it must be me.
No, it could be even if he forgot, like I left him with the kids and he completely disrupted their schedule. So my role in that could be, perhaps I didn't remind him. Yeah. Or I was too quick to get angry. Did I first seek to understand why he disrupted the schedule? I'm saying that because that has been one of our big continuous fights.
And I can see how you guys have been married 10 years.
Yes.
I could have been, I was deciding to be a Mary, just to sit under the feet of Jesus.
Yeah.
I just hear from the Lord.
While the children are taking a snack at 7 o'clock instead of having dinner. So, yeah. So,
show me a Bible text.
Me and Mary, not a man.
So, reconciling first. But as I've said, it's kept on improving over time. And then now, once you've cooled down, sometimes we even start talking about other stories so that we can just rekindle the friendship again.
My goodness.
Imagine. I don't believe sometimes it's me who's doing that. Then now, once we've calmed down, we're cool enough, now we bring back the issue.
So, Twiddly, let me just chambua that a little bit. So you're saying, in every domain,
yes,
both of you have a part that you've played in that domain.
Yes.
And your responsibility is to work on figuring out, even if I'm the one who's been aggrieved, there's a part that I've played. What part is that?
Yes.
That one needs Jesus.
I know, for real. I can't even credit it to any of
us.
us.
You cannot find anything that you've done.
There is something you've done. We are all fallen people. There must have been a part you played. Even if it's just being too quick to get angry and saying words that are regrettable.
And this does not mean that you have to know, you know, but at least minimum you can acknowledge, look, I know I offended, and I know
I've hurt you.
I know I've hurt you. You know, it's I feel sorry that I seem to have offended you.
But what if you don't? What if you don't feel sorry? That's a problem.
So we work with this notion
that's you deal with that privately. You know,
you go to God.
But we also work with the notion that he didn't wake up today saying, Leo nakosea Twiddly. Today it is Twiddly. Twiddly has to be upset. So if he upset me, he did it. He didn't do it intentionally, and so I have to acknowledge that. Trust me, it took me years to understand that. There were days I was so convinced, Yani, you went out of your way to just upset me, to make me feel so bad.
Me, I was fine.
Yeah.
And then you came.
And then you showed up.
Yeah.
Like, what's the issue?
Yeah.
So it took me a while to understand he's not doing this intentionally. And so if he's hurt me, I need to make him aware perhaps he didn't even know that is hurt
Ooh,
me.
that's true.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
we found that has worked. As I've said, it doesn't always work there are times we try resolving. You get our anger levels. You can just hear our decibels going up every minute. So
Yeah.
we now cool down, try it again. Maybe even the next day if it's not working.
Yeah, I think in short, that whole thing about resolve before you reconcile. No, sorry.
Reconcile before you resolve.
Yeah, they flip it.
Yeah.
Reconcile before you resolve. It just comes from a place of learning to be humble.
Where?
You know, a place of recognizing that first, I am a sinner myself.
Yeah, that's true.
And I am married to another sinner. And when two sinners live in close proximity to each other, there is bound to be fireworks.
Yeah.
You know, it comes from that admission. And if I need somebody to extend grace to me, how much more should I extend grace to this other person?
That's true.
You know, so whenever we come to the table of dialogue, I come in not with airs of, you know, me, I'm perfect. No, but a humility that I'm also a messed up individual. I don't always see things in the right perspective.
Yeah.
You know, I'm probably only seeing the issue my own way. Maybe this other person has a view that is different from mine, and imagine that view is still okay. You know, it's a lot of dying. By the marriage is about dying to self.
Yeah.
Daily.
Dying to self. You know? That's why
being
Paul
to-
said, let he who gets married. He says this in Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 7, I think. I'm trying to spare you from a lot of trouble.
Oh
Because
my
if you
goodness.
get married, man,
Yeah.
Yani, you've just signed up for death. And it comes out again and again, especially when domains come. I mean, look, the moment you stand up on that, on the wedding day, on that platform, and then you declare your vows to your bride. I will love you for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, till death do us apart.
And in tears.
In tears, meaning you're trying to be mushy. Some even just put some little kachumbari and do a poetry there. And people are like, okay, so how do you think all of a sudden, when something bad happens to your spouse, that all of a sudden you'll be able to live out those vows? If you are not practicing them in little ways when there were domains in the relationship. The domains in the relationship is where you show I'm willing to live up to my vows.
Right.
You know, if I can't, let's say, stand my wife's, you know, maybe the way she.
You've really thought about it. We can see you saying, no, let me not put that. No, that's not appropriate. No.
I mean, I don't know. We can pick up any issue in the relationship, and most issues are normally very small things. If I can't stand that little thing, how am I gonna stand her, let's say, for example, being paralyzed, where I will have to take care of her? If I could not stand little things about her, you get my point, huh? So if I truly am honest about being all in this relationship, I need to demonstrate that, you know, even in the little things, being willing to let go, being willing to sit ground, being willing to go the full 100 to meet that person, not waiting for them to come 50-50, because marriage is not about 50-50. It's about 100. And I do my 100 even if they are not reciprocating theirs.
Where? It
a
seems
hard
that
lesson.
That's
you
death.
might just
That's
be
what
a
I'm saying.
Christian, son.
It's a hard lesson.
You
Quite
might just be
honestly-
a Christian.
Quite honestly, Kathy, I don't know how people who don't have Jesus in their lives do their marriages. Because I'm looking at myself. If it was not for Jesus in my life, ain't no way I would be willing to die like that.
That's true.
Yeah. That's why the Bible says we submit to each other out of reverence for Christ.
Yeah.
You know, there's that to factor in.
Yeah. It's very helpful. Right, let's talk about children, guys. A lot of people say that people continue to date even after marriage until they get children. And then children come and then you begin marriage. How was that for you guys? How did the dynamics change when the children came? Or did they change at all?
I feel like we've we've been quite privileged that we've enjoyed this journey of parenting. I think children actually came for our benefit. They came to mature us up. They came to teach us just how to handle issues a little bit better than we were handling them. Because now you have a bigger perspective towards life, as opposed to when it was just the two of you. Now you have two dependents looking at you. So I find that they've actually come to spice up our marriage. And we really enjoy having them the day-to-day. Even during this time of COVID, we've had a blast with them. Yeah.
So you don't feel like they've come to suck the life out
First
of
of all,
like
Kathy,
romance.
First of all, Kathy,
or
when you say they have come, children don't just appear like boom. God just drops children on your marriage. First of all, there is the making of children, which I don't think people struggle
praise
with.
the Lord. Praise
I don't
the
think people
Lord.
struggle with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's not forget that. And then there is the raising of children, which has also different phases depending on different stages in the children's lives.
Right.
Maybe the onset it's a bit hard, because there's
The
lots of
sleepless
sleepless nights,
nights.
but as
Getting
children
used to the crying.
as children mature, wow, I mean, even you get to enjoy having them around. They keep you guys in check.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they do.
Children call you out.
Yeah.
Children show you your inconsistencies.
Yeah.
But you said.
Yeah, I have to be a better husband to my wife because
Yeah.
my children are there living with
They're
us,
watching.
and we have these Christian values which we have taught them, and so we have to practice them. I can't raise my voice
Yeah.
to my
Yeah.
wife
Yeah.
because my son will come and ask me, Dad, don't you say we should not speak to people? I'm like, call you out. So they make you a better man, and they make her a better mom. Quite honestly, for us, I wouldn't say that children have hindered our marriage. If anything, they have enhanced it. With the presence of children, I've gotten to see another side of my wife I never could have seen if her children were not around. Let's say her nurturing side, which I love. I admire to see her coming alive, when she was nursing the children and so on. I saw her in a different way than how I knew her before. Children have been a blessing to us, and this is to maybe some people have been discouraged from having children because they think, hey, let's enjoy our marriage first and then at some point we can have children. I want to say children will not hinder you guys from enjoying yourself. If anything, the more the merrier. Only applies for children. Okay, by the way.
Okay.
Not that
Yeah.
part is in your marriage. The more the merrier. When children come, it won't hinder you guys from enjoying or drawing close. If anything, it draws you closer together.
I think, it's normally just a matter of attitude, how you view them. If you view them as a burden, then there will be a burden.
Okay.
But if you view them as just these gifts that you've been given to enjoy life, and I kid you not, kids, what you see is what you get. I mean, they're the most genuine, honest creatures on earth. I think that's why I enjoy even what I do. Because, I mean, even when you've come, you've had a bad day, them, they're like, oh, sorry, like, let's move on. I mean, you can't dwell there on whatever issue is making you feel bad.
Yeah.
So I find like it depends on how your attitude and how you view them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, so it really is saying, in other words, that children even help you not to dwell so much with each other and your issues. They maybe even help diffuse the tension.
Yeah,
Right.
Because you have like a joint project you need to do.
Yeah, like now our son, 8 years old, he can tell when we have an issue.
Oh, really?
Imagine. He can tell. So sometimes it's like, do you guys need to go upstairs and talk about it?
Yeah.
I guess I guess it's upsetting him also.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are just seated here so gloomy. Can we give you time? Or when we tell him we need to go for a walk, like, yeah, go sort out. I'm hoping when you come back, you'll be happy. I'm like,
Are you
okay,
serious?
oh my goodness. We better sort out this issue. Yeah. So I mean, they really bring an aspect of life, and every day, even when I go to work, the more I understand, let the little children come to me. When Christ said, or the kingdom of God is made of such as this. Because, I mean, they just simply delight being under God's care. They don't worry what I'm going to eat, what am I going to wear. Those are not their them. They just enjoy. What do I need to do? Learn. Then I go out and play. I wish would look at life that way, I
Right.
find we will actually accomplish much more.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's
So,
a delight.
Twiddly, we've talked about children
Mm.
a lot. And, with children comes many responsibilities, right? And last week we were actually talking about roles
Mm-hmm.
in marriage, and we said a couple of things there. But I'm just curious to find out, how did you guys handle those kinds of roles, especially when the kids came in, and some women say that they get overwhelmed with
Yeah.
the housework and the kids and the stuff. How did you guys handle that aspect, or what are your thoughts on roles? Hey, I feel like I've opened a can of worms.
No, it's
Should I pick my can back?
Me, I'm happy. Like, okay, yeah, I'm glad Studley has been asked. Yeah.
I would want to hear your perspective, whether on the roles.
So roles. Well, I guess for us from the very beginning, um, we've not been very, um, that things that they called traditional roles for men and women. So we didn't want to have those hang-ups. So we try to help each other around the house when there is need. You know, so like for example, when the children came, it wasn't just Tweedley's child. I'm the father. And so we were all in together. There, we learned how to wash, the children together, and it's actually an experience that I enjoyed. There's the feeding of children part, which I couldn't help much, but in any way in which you can get involved,
Yeah.
you get involved.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we tried to be one as much as possible. Does not mean that I lost my headship, as the man in the house. Not really. I still am the one wearing the pants, and that doesn't change. When I help around the house. So we've tried to look at each other as a team. There are things that she does very well, and the things that I do well. So we try to just come together and collaborate, in moving our household forward.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would just add to that and say, I think when the kids were younger, of course, the nurturing part, there are things that of course, being a woman, I'm more gifted than he is.
True.
And so, of course, I would do more of that. So if it's the changing of diapers, feeding, as he mentioned, he's not as gifted. What he might be gifted in is play, which you're finding.
All right.
Yeah, he's doing more of that now that the kids are older. They're more independent than I am. I'm really working hard towards that. That's an area that doesn't come as much as I'm a teacher. Is it ironic? Anyway, but
Yeah.
his play comes more naturally to him
Oh.
than it does to me.
Right.
So, like, when he comes at the end of the day, he's rarely, I mean, he's tired, but he can never be too tired to play with the kids. They even have like a shark game.
Oh.
They undo. So, of course, now that one, when they're undoing the cushions in the house, I'm
man.
like, oh my goodness. Like, can we play a more sane game? But that's what the kids want.
Yeah.
That's what Yani brings life into their
Mm.
into their bodies. So I would say, I think we've learned to work with what one is more naturally inclined to.
Right.
So as not to force
Yeah.
the other person.
Yeah, not that there was a duty rota, like,
No.
hey, I changed your
yeah.
diaper today,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
in the next 2
Yeah.
hours you're on.
Yeah.
Not to say I didn't change diapers or wash the children a lot. I mean, I did that and I enjoyed doing that, but I think our roles pretty much ended up being you did more of the thing that you were gifted in,
Right.
and the thing that you love doing, rather than there was a
A rota.
rota. You're doing this here. No. Yeah, and it's worked very well for us.
Yeah.
And different couples might do different things, and that's
Yeah.
cool. Find out what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So with every part of life comes challenges, right? So how have you handled the hardships, the challenges, the trials that life has thrown your way now that you have been together for 10 years? 10 years is a lot of time. Yeah. How have you handled those?
I would say maybe we could talk about one of our most, I would say, biggest trial we've had to go through is being a teacher. I knew always that would need to start a school
Okay.
just because of some of the needs I saw. And so we thought our timing was the school would start before the kids came.
Okay.
God's timing was very different. We found a location for the school exactly 12 days before Tendo was born.
What?
So I was very heavily pregnant,
Hey.
about to deliver our firstborn.
Where?
That's when God opens doors for a location, which we hadn't even looked. Honestly, we can't even say that that was within our radar. It was so far off. So anyway, we moved in.
Being people of faith.
Being people of
I
faith,
know.
yes. Very young, excited to start. That was April 2012. We entered knowing by May we better have children.
Oh, yeah.
Because we couldn't afford the rent of
Yeah.
where we were staying.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just say May came, June, July, August, September, we got our first child.
Oh, man.
One child. So that one child is not even enough to take care of rent for 1 month.
Wow.
Yet you have 4 months in a term because
Yeah.
you have to include the holiday.
Yeah.
So those first years of starting the school were very, very trying. There were nights we would wake up and I think I'm the only one who's awake until I turn and see, you know the way you see some eyes in the dark?
Like
Get some
bats.
guys,
Like
like bats.
Mm.
Kumbe even if he was not sleeping, would have friends saying, "Oh, can I come visit you next month?" We're like, "Yeah, we will let you know where we will be," because it was so uncertain. We didn't know. But God, in His grace and mercy, because we can't really credit that to ourselves, He used to bring people. He used to bring every end of the month. Would find someone. Okay, so what are your issues? We're like, "Oh, do you really want to know?" We're like, "Yeah, rent." Like, yeah, okay, here's a check.
Wow.
Imagine, just out of nowhere, I tell you, there were miracle stories month after month after month because it took us about 3 years to stabilize. Yeah, so that was a very, very trying time. I think God kept us, that we didn't turn against each other because
Right.
that would have been a temptation to now say, now look at what you've done, your decisions, this is what it has made us to do. Yeah.
To this pit.
Yeah.
I think what I say, how we have handled our trying times has really been prayer. We have been praying together ever since we got married, every single night.
Wow.
Except very few nights. Probably I don't even know whether they will feel one hand, the fingers on my hands. We've been praying every night together.
Even when you have domies.
Even
Even
when we have domains.
Wow.
We start, in fact, solving those domains with prayer.
With prayer.
God,
Help
what
us.
you are about
You
to
know what your son has
look at
done.
these sinners.
God, we are sinners. Help us. We pray even when we have domains, because we said, look, either God is a part of our relationship or He's not.
Yeah.
And domains is one of those times when we have to face that truth. Is God part of our relationship? If He is, God has done nothing wrong to us. So we can go to Him to get and say, okay, here, like this, there's issue. But you, God, you are awesome, and please help us. If God is not a part of our relationship, let's not be pretending, even in the good times, to now go to Him. That's how we were pretty honest. We talked about it. We said we will be praying even when there's domain. And since I'm leading the home, it's my responsibility to bring up the prayer. I'm not trying to resolve. I'm not trying to reconcile. I hope, but can we pray together because we're sleeping? And we do that. We do that a lot. And so prayer has been part of our journey, and God has really answered our prayers. God has really helped us. Reading the word together we've not been very successful, except this COVID. This COVID year, this COVID has come with its.
The curfew helped. You are forced to be at home by 7.
Yeah. But now how we do it, we also bring the kids in.
All right.
So we do it with the kids. We do it as a family. And quite honestly, that has really helped us also. So we find like we are growing with the Lord. We are praying together. We are learning together. That has kept us, going. Yeah.
All right. Sawa, by way of last words, what would you say? What advice would you give to the ladies who are in marriages, and what advice would you give to the guys who are in marriages?
I would say to ladies, just pursue friendship, pursue a lasting relationship with this guy. Get to know him, get to know his fears. What are some of those things that make him tick? And I'm not saying to worship him, but just allow that you would enjoy this friendship time together. Look at it as a gift that God has given you and enjoy it, delight. Look at some of the ways you can go out, and it doesn't have to be spending money, even a picnic. What are some of the ways that you can bond or gel together? Beyond even whatever issues you might be facing in marriage, just seek that friendship. There must have been something that drew you close to this person before you got married. So always keep asking God, remind me why I loved this man. So that even on those hard days, you always remember, this is why I love him.
Right.
And I should be committed to this relationship and this marriage. Yeah.
Right.
So delight, enjoy, have fun.
Asante Tudy.
Man, I have so many things to say. In
Eh.
fact, as you mentioned, just lots of ideas are just flashing through my mind. But I'll
Eh.
start with what I think is the greatest. I will tell the guys to take your role as the leader of the home very seriously. You know, and one of the ways in which you can do that is to talk to God, the leader of leaders.
Right.
You know, seek Christ. Ask him to help you to lead like he leads. I find that in homes where the man has truly given himself to the Lord, fears the Lord, walks in the way of the Lord, that family is usually stable. If in your family, let's say your wife is more spiritual than you, that's awesome, but you need to find a way of drawing close to the Lord, you know, and leading also in that way, you know, because our God is a leader. You know, Christ is a leader, you know, and you need to be learning from him. That's one. Number two, I know sometimes in men, I think we've received bad press, or just the boy child is always blamed for many things that go wrong in life. But there's a sense in which men sometimes we make mistakes. You know, we make very poor choices. I remember this verse in Hebrews. I forgot what it is. I think it's Hebrews 13. It talks about Esau who, for a single meal, gave up his birthright.
Yeah.
And I know men, because we are tempted so easily, I hear people say men are such, you know, they're so driven by the physical or something like that, physical creatures. We put ourselves in compromising situations where we make poor decisions, like what Esau did. For a single meal, we give up our birthright, we give up a lot, you know. So men, they put themselves in situations where giving to their desires and then give up their marriages, give up their wives, give up their children. And what I would like to say to the men is count the cost. Count the cost, consider the consequences of the little decisions that you make. Think ahead, plan ahead, make up your mind ahead, draw boundaries. Think about the places where you will not go,
Right.
the things that you will not do well ahead of time. You know, when temptation or opportunity presents itself, that is not the time to do the thinking.
Yeah.
And if you're not thinking ahead, if you're not thinking these scenarios and deciding how it is that you're going to act, when those scenarios or when those opportunities arise, men have been found to fare very bad in terms of making decisions. You know, if a lady just shows up and tells me, come with me, if I've not thought about, you know, some of those things well ahead of time and how am I going to act, I think Joseph really was a very big example to that. When Potiphar's wife showed up to him and is like, come to bed with me, I don't think that was the time that Joseph was making the decision. Should I go? It's like, took off. I'd like to say to the men, you think ahead of time how it is that you're going to act in different situations, and then have a list. Have a list that you write down, either in your journal or at home or somewhere, of a list of consequences that will happen if you were to fall into certain temptations, so that you know ahead of time what it is that you'll be facing if you go a certain way. count that cost and have it on top of your head ahead of time. It might help you to remain in the straight and the narrow and not to be driven by desires, as so many men have been accused of doing. Yeah, I have so many, but I think those two are enough for now.
Very wise words. Asanteni sana. I hope that you have enjoyed this conversation, because I truly have. And I hope that you have gotten nuggets that will help you in your marriage. And if you're not yet married, nuggets that will help you as you begin to think and pray about this sector of marriage. We have come to the end of this episode, and we are so glad that you are able to join us. We hope that you will join us again next week for another episode of Tuesday Connect. Same time, same place. But until then, we ask that the Lord would bless you and that He would allow us to gather again next week. Bye.